Shalom, Kol Halolim, Yahal Bashim Yahushua Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to you brothers out there teaching us word and truth and sincerity. I'm gonna go into some videos here on in Shalom and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. If I didn't mention that before, Jake's short-term memory is all messed up. But let me get into this. Okay, there's some hot news going on about United States, known as Babylon the Great in the Holy Scriptures, and what's going on with NATO, the EU, known as the Beast. Okay, the Beast of the 10 Horns in the Scriptures. And also what's going on with Russia, also mentioned in the Scriptures as Gog and Magog. Okay, and so here you look at it. All right, I'm gonna play this video for you.
Makes the decision to withdraw from any kind of a deal, everyone will forget that the
US
no
one in
initiated
Europe
the collapse of the deal,
Iraq war.
and global opinion will be it's Iran's fault. I have said this to Iran on many occasions. I don't think they have any reason to withdraw from the deal.
Huge 3 days here in Sochi, very big talks, high-profile talks. First we had the Chinese foreign minister, then the US Secretary of State, today the Austrian president. A lot of topics, almost every major crisis in the world now was discussed here. And of course, they talked about Iran, Venezuela, Ukraine, the wars in the Middle East, Syria, Yemen. They talked about financial markets, about oil, about gas, you know, all sorts of things. But of course, front and center was Iran, because it is really getting into the dangerous phase now, the phase where everybody fears an escalation. And today, Vladimir Putin was asked about what Russia plans to do to help resolve this crisis.
Russia is not a fire brigade. I cannot just go around saving everything that is burning around us. We have played our part, and we are ready and willing to play this part in future. But it depends not just on us, but on our partners, on the Europeans, on the US, and on Iran itself.
The Europeans, the Russians and the Chinese have similar views on the Iranian crisis. They believe it's gone too far, and that the best option for the world, for all the countries involved, is to stick to the Iranian nuclear deal of 2015. And even the Europeans have called what the United States is doing as dangerous and provocative.
The impression I have is that any additional pressure on Iran is only going to undermine political relations even further. No matter how much we argue about the probability of this happening, if the US continues putting pressure on Iran, it leads to the risks of a crisis, as happened in Iraq several years ago, and in Europe no one wants that to happen.
Unfortunately, there's no easy solution to the Iranian crisis, but they at least talked about it. And that, by the way, was the takeaway yesterday when Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, visited. And today, Vladimir Putin said that, you know, he now has a sense that there's some willingness in Washington to restart relations with Russia. They agreed yesterday that, you know, they disagree on many things. They also agreed to start repairing various communication channels, hotlines, for example, counterterrorism, intelligence, financial, political. And, Vladimir Putin was also asked about a potential meeting with Donald Trump, and he replied that at the G20 summit, if the Americans are willing, if they want to start serious, you know, take serious steps towards repairing relations, Russia is always willing.
You see that? It says, no one in Europe wants second Iraq war. And Austrian president slams provocative U.S. policy. And you can see that the United States can't get anyone to support them. This guy, Mike Pompeo, he's going throughout, he's the Secretary of State, he's going throughout Babylon. Well, I'm sorry, internationally. He's going out to speak to Russia, speak to Austria, speak to the European nations, and they don't want to get on board with U.S. policy, okay? And it's all regarding Iran. So, in this video,
Iran are now getting.
Okay, this video says U.S. urges personnel to leave Iraq, hyping Tehran threat. UK commander has doubts. Yeah, so the UK, They have doubts. They're looking at it like, all right, leave Iraq now as fast as possible. That's the warning that's been issued by Washington to U.S. employees in the country. It comes amid a heightened sense of urgency from the American side over what it calls the increased threat coming from Iraq's neighbor. All right? And I think they show a clip of Trump and Pompeo. I'm going to play it right here.
Specifically because of the Iranian threat. So the situation is very much heated.
Threaten their neighbors or spread instability or terror.
Everywhere we go in the Middle East, it's Iran, Iran, Iran.
Major destabilizing influence in the Middle East.
Spread death, destruction, and chaos.
The leaders of Iran are racketeers.
So chaos, death, and destruction. Behind every problem is Iran.
What we've been trying to do is to get Iran to behave like a normal nation.
Now, the United States has pushed a military buildup in the Gulf as well.
So here it is, the so-called white man in America, Edom. He's going around saying they want Iran to be a normal nation. Yeah, America, you're the rogue nation, right? I'm going to play this real quick.
Dawn and Mike Pompeo's on a mission that didn't go quite the way he planned. Pompeo has been on the road for the past week, rallying support for Washington's Iran policy. Last Wednesday, he abruptly pulled out of a scheduled meeting with Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel. Instead, he met Iraqi leaders and warned them that Iran's threat to American interests in the region was growing. He then postponed a trip to Russia to share Iran intelligence with European leaders in Brussels, but they didn't offer him their backing.
On the European Union side, on the member states of the European Union side, there's full determination to do all we can, as I said, with all our instruments, to implement at full our part of the nuclear agreement, as long as Iran remains compliant.
Next stop, Sochi. In the Russian Black Sea resort, Pompeo met President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. But again, he got very little.
We didn't support it, and we consider it a mistake that the U.S. exited the Iran nuclear deal. We hope to find a political solution to the situation in Iran, and will try to assist so that the situation doesn't turn into a military scenario.
In recent days, the U.S. has considerably increased its military presence in the Persian Gulf. But Pompeo denies that the Trump administration is preparing for war.
We're looking for Iran to behave like a normal country, and that's our ask. And we have applied pressure to the leadership of the Islamic Republic of Iran to achieve that. We fundamentally do not seek a war with Iran.
Iran's leadership also denies it's heading for conflict. Now Pompeo has returned to Washington. On his European tour, allies and rivals alike warned him against war.
Well, let's get some analysis now with Sasha Lohman, America expert at the German Institute for International Security Affairs. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Is this the start of a...
Yep, U.S. fails to get international support for Iran policy. So as you can see, I'll put these in the description. They're all on my channel. I liked them, okay? And now just to jump into some scriptures, okay? Because what is everyone saying? Oh, we don't want this to go into a military. We don't. The United States is saying they don't want this thing to be turned into a military operation. It already is. They already have that intent. Okay, so why are they going around trying to gather the troops, so to speak? Because they want to go to war with Iran and they need support. They just can't go around doing that anymore, and that's why Russia. Vladimir Putin said, hey, man, we just can't be going around being the world's fire brigade. Here it is, America. They claim to be the protector of the free world, right? The bastion of freedom. And all right, and the police of the world, so as they claim to be. Yet Russia, they go around putting out the fires that America starts. Okay, they try to help these other nations, right? They put their foot down and say, hey, you're not going to get our support, along with China and other nations. And now you have NATO, the EU, saying the same thing, saying, hey, man, you ain't going to get our support. We're done with you. Especially this guy Trump in charge. Nobody wants to deal with his ass, man. And then at one point in time, they felt like that with George H.W. Bush, right? He was going around causing all these wars. America's relationship with the rest of the world at that time was very, very low. Nobody wanted to deal with America. So when President Obama was elected, what did he do? He went on a world tour. Big crowds came up and everyone said, hey, yeah, this is a new beginning. Everyone was happy. And then what did they say? They said, hey, Obama's is the same. It's just a different face. And he's worse because he's lying to our face. Okay? Let me play some of this background music. Some war drums, because this is what the time we're in. All right, we're at the time of America and the rest of the world going to World War III. All right, this is Matthew 24:4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Yeah, so right now we're in that time of rumors of wars. Oh, U.S. is telling everybody that's involved with the United States to leave Iraq. Why? Because they're planning attack. They're planning to attack Iran. And now the U.S. government is going around sending their Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, all throughout NATO, EU, and even Russia to gain support. And what is happening? He's not getting any support. Trump, I play the clip, he's blaming Iran. Why are you blaming Iran? Because you want to go to war with them. All right, you want to go and take their resources, and they're a threat. They're a threat mainly to the so-called Jew in that land of Israel. Okay, because out of all the nations that stood up against the so-called Jew in the land of Israel, it's Iran is the main one. They never changed. All right, they never switched up. They always kept the same policy and wherewithal in terms of the state of Israel is not a real state.